Hello and welcome back to Invincible Asia. I'm George Clark and this is another bonus episode of Deep Impact, where today I'm going to take a look back at the issue from May 1992, an issue that cost me another small fortune to get off eBay just so that I could do this episode. But anyway, who cares? Look who's on the front. Let's go Deep Impact. Don't forget folks, before we go any further, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, ring the bell and all that jibber jabber, and thank you very much for supporting Invincible Asia. So yes, May 1992, I was coming close to the end of my third year in high school, heading for the summer holidays, and unbeknownst to me, a wee man called Jackie Chan was gracing the front cover of this magazine. How did I never see these things when they were first released? Anyway, Jackie Chan's Armour of God 2, Operation Condor. What a great time to put this episode out, considering we just had that gorgeous 4K UHD Blu-ray release from 88 Films of this incredible movie. How amazing. And also we get a free Van Damme mega-sized poster, which obviously isn't in there of course, considering I paid a fortune to get this off eBay just so I could do this episode. Anyway, we also get Denzel Washington and Ricochet, Universal Soldier preview, topical gangsters, the new wave in mobster movies, and Mark Houghton, the UK's only martial arts movie star, also competitions, Far Eastern Fair, and Bolts from the Blue. How exciting! Let's get stuck in. So we begin with a Rambo-inspired ad for subscribing to Impact magazine. This one is littered with geeky teen humour though, and deserves to be read. You, veteran action movie fan, read on for your next mission. Your orders are to identify, seek out and read cover to cover future issues of Britain's #1 action movie mag. Your object? To apprehend and secure the fugitive poster Rambo, do it with what you will, and keep yourself in the know on upcoming film releases and their stars. Informers tell us the easiest route is to subscribe to Impact, who are releasing free of ransom the giant-sized full-colour poster of Rambo, courtesy of Battle Orders Limited, directly into the hands of each new subscriber, besides sending on to a destination of your choosing an info-packed new issue every month for the next 12. We are told details are somewhere on this page. Investigate. Warning. This offer will self-destruct with the 500th applicant. Oh, Jesus. Beside that is one of the weirdest fucking ads I've ever seen in the magazine, featuring some clip art of the Joker and more SNL-inspired writing. What slick, hard-backed, decked in black leather look is bursting with impact and is now available? Nope, not Arnie, nor Denzel, and Elvira's not even close. Get with it, you folks. It's the new Impact binder from MAI Publications. Oh my god. Oh, I give up. Opposite, we have the contents and Baywatch. And as you can see, the mag at this stage was only just pretty much half the size that it was by the time I started getting it in 1994. The other thing I love about it is that every page is in full colour, unlike later issues, no doubt due to cost, where half of them were black and white and certainly didn't have the same appeal. So I guess the negative side of that is that the contents page looks kind of sparse and this whole layout cheap and nasty. Below that we see everyone involved in the magazine, laid out like it's the credits at the bottom of a movie poster or video release, and of course Bay Logan's Baywatch editorial is always worth a look, if only to see how the man constantly shoots himself in the foot with what he has to say. Like this. For a while, we thought we were alone in the wilderness. I mean, we knew that Jean-Claude Van Damme was the hottest thing since Chernobyl, and we knew that he had a huge following in the UK. Despite this, Impact and its sister magazine, Martial Arts Illustrated, seem to be the only publications featuring the muscles from Brussels on our covers. Finally, the face has opened its eyes and devoted front coverage to Van the Man. Better late than never. Speaking of our man Van, we continue to be bombarded with letters, phone calls and the like, begging, pleading and even demanding that we cough up Jean-Claude's home address and or phone number. I'll bet his wife is going to love us printing that information. For the last time, we don't have Van Damme's address or phone number. And even if we did, it would be unprofessional to give it out to all and sundry. What we do have is an address to which his PR office has asked us to direct all fan mail, and we will continue to publish this and lots more Van Damme coverage. Recently, I was shocked to receive a complaint about this publication. Okay, we've had a few others, but normally they've been in crayon and from people thinking they're Napoleon. This one was from a guy who only looks like Napoleon, the esteemed and steamed Nigel Green of Entertainment Group, the Ace UK distribution responsible for bringing you the Kickboxer films, the No Retreat No Surrender movies, the China O'Brien flicks, Jackie Chan's Operation Condor, and many, many more. As you can see, they're our type of guys. Anyway, Mr. Green took umbrage at a comment made in our Hulk Hogan feature, which included a generally positive review of Suburban Commando. You've guessed it, entertainment release. It's a shame, quoth the text, that, like so many action movies, it was snuck into cinemas with so little fanfare. Lies, lies, and more lies. I thought he had a wrong number and was ordering some Chinese takeaway, but then it dawned... Jesus fuck. But then it dawned on me that he was telling me how many posters they put up for the film and how many TV spots they bought, how many cinemas the film played in, how much money it had made. Turns out we were, well, not as right as we normally are. Apologies to Nigel and all at Entertainment Group who worked so hard to bring us fun and funky action flicks like Suburban Commando. Bay Logan, editor. Yep, what a man. Anyway, let's move on. We head straight into Denzel Washington's Ricochet. Impact and Eastern Heroes Rick Baker checks out this tale of a red-hot rookie, a slimy psychopath, and a vicious vendetta. Denzel in danger. Rick rocks Ricochet. Despite word from Hollywood to the effect that subtle storylines and handkerchief endings are the shape of things to come, it seems that reports of the death of action movie have been exaggerated. Films like Terminator 2 and Last Boy Scout prove that the market for gung-ho action films remains voracious, and the latest offering from Highlander director Russell Mulcahy fits neatly into the same category. The film re-establishes Mulcahy's credibility as an action director after he was fired from Rambo 3 and after the disappointing Highlander 2. He and Joel Lethal Weapon Silver forged yet another Die Hard style flick into a fast-paced product with fine box office potential. Now, I have to say, I've never seen Ricochet. I was so hooked on Hong Kong movies at this time, and still a young teen, that films like this didn't really appeal to me. But I might have to watch it now, after reading Rick's review, and especially his closing paragraph. Ricochet is a must for the Shades, Blades, and Uzi Brigade, and deserves to be seen on the big screen. It will undoubtedly be censored more severely for its video release, giving us yet another reason to condemn the BBFC for not allowing consenting adults freedom of choice in a free country. The bottom line, Rick rates Ricochet. Fun times. Let's move on. Overleaf, we have a great double-page spread on Jackie Chan's Operation Condor, as told by supporting actor and stuntman Bruce Fontaine. Part 1 of an exclusive account of the filming of Jackie Chan's Operation Condor. Bam! Ken, my villainous counterpart, rocks our rival's defences with a snapping backfist. Narrowly defending Ken's attack, our rival tries desperately to regain his composure as I step in with a roundhouse kick to his head. Poof! Did somebody call me? Dust explodes off my boot as the high kick is desperately blocked and evaded. Ken and I continue alternating with a barrage of attacks. Our intention? To obliterate this one who would call himself the Asian Hawk. Backpedaling to avoid our constant assault, we now have the Hawk on the run. Suddenly, from the side, we hear the all too familiar call, "Cut!" Our rival, the Asian Hawk, assumes his true identity, Jackie Chan, Asian action movie star, producer, director, and all-round nice guy. After some 15 takes, all agree conclusively this shot was good. 15 takes may seem a bit much. For Jackie, it is the norm. He strives to get the best out of each action sequence. Ken, a former US Wushu team member, and I now retire to the wardrobe trailer to A. Play Game Boy, B. Chat and tell dirty jokes with the other foreign actors, C. Eat, D. Sleep, or E. All of the above. On this particular occasion, we settle into our seats as we watch our good friend Steve Tartaglia, New York kung fu stylist, talking to actor-dancer Kunde P. Rachad. Today, Steve is in one of his more fidgety moods. We watch with amusement as Steve sidetracks himself through several different topics of conversation, ranging from simmering the lobster in the Bernese sauce for just the right amount of time, to the 3 levels of Dolby, A, B and C, on his new Sony Professional Walkman. I'm going to skip past the first paragraph though, because it's really just about him going back to his trailer with the other actors, playing Game Boy, sleeping and eating. My name is Bruce Fontaine. For close to 1 year, I was employed as one of Jackie Chan's mercenary rivals in the movie Operation Condor, the sequel to his biggest hit to date, Armour of God. The scenario just outlined to you typified the average day for the Guilo boys. The film, Operation Condor, was to be the pinnacle of my film career, as I'm sure it was for all the other foreigners in the film. When I reflect upon my time working in this movie, it is often with a great sense of irony, for it was only a few years before that I sat in the Chinatown Theatre watching the prequel to that film, Armour of God. It was that night that I made up my mind to make the arduous journey to Hong Kong, seeking work and opportunity in the action film industry. When the casting call for Operation Condor went out, I had already been working in Hong Kong for close to a year. In fact, most of the regular foreigners working in Hong Kong all started arriving at relatively the same time. Showing up in Hong Kong, seeking the same opportunities and work as myself were Steve Tartaglia, Dan Mintz, Mark Houghton, Jeff Falcon, Ken Goodman, Vincent Lin, and myself. I often feel the need to point out how all of these guys were not only exceptional martial artists, but also very unique and special individuals. During a very special period of time in the history of Hong Kong, pre-1997, a colony with its anxieties and uncertainties about its own future, we came from all parts of the world to live out the dreams so many guys like ourselves only dare to dream about. We shared a unique existence and all grew to become close friends. The word about the casting for Jackie's film spread quickly, particularly since all the core guys were working for Frankie Chan on his film Outlaw Brothers. Close to 100 guys showed up for the casting. When auditioning for the film, Jackie's company, Golden Way, looked at 3 things: martial arts ability, movie fight reaction and control, and last but not least, acting ability. The levels of ability of the potential applicants in those 3 fields was extremely varied, ranging from no experience at all, someone tried admirably to fake it, to very talented and competent. When the dust had settled, the core martial arts boys, or Guilo boys as we like to call ourselves, were hired. It should be noted that Mark Houghton and Jeff Falcon had been invited to do the film, but due to other commitments, they declined. Also in the film were local actors Mark Keane and Jonathan Isgar. While not necessarily martial artists, they are willing and able to take a fall. I was particularly surprised and enraptured to be invited to take part. While I had a good rapport with longtime JC stuntmen Benny Ko and Chung Wan, both in charge of casting action actors, I had just been fired, so to speak, off of Frankie Chan's Outlaw Brothers for, we'll just say, insubordination. As Frankie was to be Jackie's assistant director, I was sure I hadn't a chance no matter how good my audition. For some reason or another, no words were mentioned, I was in. After making it through the shark-infested waters of contract negotiation, Hong Kong producers will eat you alive if given half a chance, we then progressed to the pain and humiliation of makeup and wardrobe. After several costume changes at the whim of some art school dropout, we were ready for the show to begin. After opening ceremony commencements, day 1 of shooting was to start with Ken and myself. The first scene shot was the Moroccan hotel scene, shot in the hills of Hong Kong's new territories, where Jackie would encounter Ken and I in our guise as mercenaries. This scene was to be shot in 4 days. It took 28 in filming. For Ken and I, this was to be our first actual work type meeting with Jackie. On that first shooting day, I was in the wardrobe trailer, awaiting for my makeup change, playing Game Boy. Struggling with level 9 as Ken was attempting to coach me through, we never saw Jackie approaching. Jackie looked down at me in my dilemma and snatched the Game Boy from me with no more than a "gimme that, I'll show you how to do it." My first thought was, is this the guy I wrote about in my high school graduation annual, stating that I wanted to be the white man's equivalent to him? After getting Mario to the next level, Jackie handed the game back to me with a big grin on his face. Maybe he wasn't so bad. Game Boy proved to be a favourite on the set. In fact, Jackie became quite obsessed with the game. One day, he found a quiet spot on the set where he was becoming totally engrossed in the game. From across the courtyard, Ken and I watched as Frankie approached Jackie to discuss the next shot. Without taking his eyes off the screen, Jackie ignored Frankie and turned so as not to be disturbed while playing his game. Not getting the hint, Frankie ran around to Jackie's other side. Again, Jackie turned away, muttering something in Cantonese in an attempt to brush him off. Needless to say, Ken and I had a chuckle. More than once, Jackie would show up for shooting, burst into the wardrobe trailer, and claim proudly to Ken and I how he stayed up all night until he got to the next level. While filming, Jackie, I suspect, realised that Ken and I were not just a couple of guys looking only to make a few bucks. We were both fans and had a very serious desire to learn and work in action films. He spent a lot of time off camera those first few weeks explaining to us how action works and what we should do if we wanted to make it in the business. He also told us a lot about how he came up in the film business, from stuntman to assistant action director and eventually film star. Working with us in that first scene, Jackie was patient and good with us. In that scene, there wasn't a lot of martial arts action. Jackie said in this movie he was trying to get away from that. There was a lot of chase scenes, stunts, gunplay, and some minor pugilistic exchanges. In the few exchanges that Ken and I had in the hotel scene, we both agreed that this was the most demanding, not in terms of technique, there was nothing too fancy, just in terms of timing, reaction, and coordinating it all with acting. We had both done several movies to that date, but none challenged us as did Jackie's. Next month, Bruce takes us through the Morocco shoot and reveals more of the behind-the-scenes persona of Jackie Chan. Fascinating piece, what a memory and an experience you have working on such a classic with your hero, just amazing. Below that we have two very popular ads to help you attract girls and build muscles, and in full colour no less, which no doubt helps sell a few more items. Opposite, we have a competition page where you have the chance to win your own Navy SEALs jacket and Navy SEALs on video. It was a fun movie from what I can remember, but just listen to how badly this ad is written. Now you too can look like a seal. Just balance this brightly coloured ball on your nose, wave your arms and go onk onk while we throw fish at you. No, but seriously folks, oh Jesus Christ, the voluptuous fixins at Virgin Vision's video department have given us 5 copies of the Charlie Sheen Michael Biehn Storer Navy SEALs to give away and 3 of these Ace Navy SEALs jackets. All you have to do is answer the following 5 questions. Dear Lord. Anyway, the competition winners for the Terminator 2 giveaway is just under that. And below again, a list of coming events around England, such as the Martial Arts Movie Show, which was playing Eastern Condors and Bloodsport and had Mark Houghton appearing live. Then Clash of the Titans martial arts event, where Mark Houghton is doing a demonstration and appearing live. Then there's the Impact Action Movie Roadshow, which has, guess what? An appearance from Mark Houghton. What are the chances, eh? Let's move on. Over the page, we have the lightning rod, which is normally a couple of pages rammed with bits, but the early mags didn't really seem to break it down, often just focusing on 2 or 3. This time, we get a piece on Michael Keaton's Batman Returns with some awful quality pictures and dreadful clip art of Batman swinging into action, and on the other side, checking in with Chuck, an interesting write-up on his life and the fun movie Sidekicks. Is Norris in bed with supermodel Beverly Johnson and movie entrepreneur Mattress Mac? Despite the absence of new product from action star Chuck Norris, he remains an American cult hero par excellence. The lusty ladies of the Chuck Norris fan club keep a candle burning for their bearded B-movie Black Belter with their triple X-rated van scene, and the man himself has been hitting headlines at home and abroad. Recently, Norris got into bed with Jim Mattress Mac McIngville, a Houston businessman turned film producer who arranged the financing for Chuck's long-awaited Sidekicks. Fun times, eh? Well, over the page we have the final bit of the lightning rod with a piece on the Young Indiana Jones TV show claiming how it may be a miss to general audiences and how this reporter Tom Shields found it to be a gorgeous production but empty on story. Next to that, we have Word Up, a very different looking Word Up to what we see in later issues, of course. It mostly covers Hollywood productions with its trivia, although we do get a blurb on Bolo Yeung. Before kickboxing, there were ninjas, and before ninjutsu, there was kung fu. Now producers are scouring the Orient and elsewhere for their next martial arts movie boom. From Japan, we have shootboxing, a combination of wrestling and full contact karate, which makes its film debut in Shoot Fighter, which stars Bloodsport and double impact villain Bolo Yeung. From Brazil, we have the acrobatic, breakdance-oriented combat art of capoeira, which hits the screen in Only the Strong, directed by former Van Damme associate Sheldon Littich. From China, we have Eagle Claw Kung Fu, which rips up the screen in Talons of the Eagle, which stars Jalal Murhi and Last Boy Scouts Billy Blanks, and is produced by Shapiro Klickenhaus. No word yet on when the Goodies Icky Thump will hit the big screen, but it's only a matter of time. Speaking of martial arts movies, Van Damme's latest opus, Pals, now has a new title, Crossing the Line. Well, I can't say that Van Damme's Pals or Crossing the Line was ever made, unless it finally found another title by the time of its release. Opposite, the wonderful Chow Yun-fat looks down on the title of Blood, Bullets and Brotherhood, gangsterdom for the new age, where Bay Logan looks at the new wave of street-level mobster movies. It seems that every great Hollywood director has in him at least one film celebrating the gangster as American hero. Barry Levinson made Bugsy, Martin Scorsese Goodfellas, Robert Benson directed the screen version of FL Dr. Rose Billy Bathgate, and, perhaps most memorable, Francis Ford Coppola gave us his epic trilogy of Godfather films. Mannered and elegant in their execution, these films tend to depict mob leaders as tragic heroes on a classic scale, great men brought down by a fatal flaw of luck or character. In doing so, they tend to imbue their heroes with unrealistic value systems. Now, interestingly, it doesn't really touch on Hong Kong movies until way over here where it says, Cantonese recording star Leslie Cheung was cast against type as a cop in John Woo's A Better Tomorrow, and real-life songstress Sally Ye played the pivotal role of the blinded singer in The Killer. It makes reference to John Woo a couple of times throughout the article, and over the page here says how New Jack City and other American films have taken some inspiration. I have no proof that Abel Ferreira or Mario Van Peebles or Sheldon Littich nor any of the other American New Wavers have seen the work of Chinese director John Woo, other than the very evident visual style employed in the gunplay sequences of their films. Chow Yun-fat, leading man of both Woo's Better Tomorrow and The Killer, certainly sees a connection. He loves it, laughs Chow, describing his mentor and friend's reaction to seeing many of his editing techniques borrowed by foreign filmmakers. He looks at these films and he feels proud that he started this style. For a long time, Woo laboured in the shadow of Choi Hark, who produced A Better Tomorrow and its sequel. Some critics felt that the Chinese ghost story Helmer had imposed his own visual style on the films, and even that he had ghost directed them himself. However, comparisons between Woo's Better Tomorrow, The Killer and Hard Boiled, and Choi Hark's Better Tomorrow 3 and Gunmen indicate that John Woo is the true maestro of this art, and Choi better suited to gun fu swordplay dramas like The Swordsman and Once Upon a Time in China. The Killer, a tale of two mirror-image anti-heroes, an assassin with a code of honour, and a cop so honest he is above the law, made Woo's name in the States, impressing international audiences with its extraordinary use of hyper-violence and by its depiction of these valiant men out of time caught by the camera during the last hurrah of their chivalry. Despite The Killer's success, John Woo's personal favourite, and that of Chow Yun-fat, remains A Better Tomorrow, the Hong Kong gangster flick that made Chow a megastar and launched hundreds of imitations. A Better Tomorrow is the gangster movie in excelsis, detailing the relationship between two triad gang members, Chow and former kung fu star Ti Lung, and that between Ti Lung's character and his brother, a fresh-faced young cop played by Leslie Cheung. So what is the connection between these Hong Kong actioneers, shot in another country and in a foreign language, and America's New Jack gangster shows? The most obvious influence is the visual nature of the screen action. Probably the most obvious theft of Woo's cinematic technique is King of New York, which features the trademark high-caliber overkill and both the hyperkinetic ballet of gunplay and the realistic portrayal of the carnage that is the result of even the briefest firefight. Compare the famous guns in the flowerpot sequence in A Better Tomorrow, in which Chow's super cool Mark Gore blows away the opposition, with the scene in which Christopher Walken's Frank Smith strides through an attempted hit by a rival gang. The double gun style pioneered by Woo lives on in King of New York and also in Double Impact, China White, and a whole string of lesser productions. Below that, another interesting Impact ad. You've read Impact, you've seen the films, now experience the real thing. BA services, bodyguard training. Oh, can't say that would have enticed me in the slightest, but let's move on. The centerfold gives us a large ad for Clash of the Titans, where, you guessed it, Mark Houghton will be appearing. Taking place at the Aston Villa Sports and Leisure Centre, this is the real clash. Beware of imitations. Kung Fu movie star Mark Houghton, star of Cold Steel with Cynthia Rothrock, Skinny Tiger, Fatty Dragon with Sammo Hung, Outlaw Brothers with Yukari Oshima, Final Run, which also starred Yukari, and Fire Phoenix, which starred Alex Mann, Sybil Hu, and Francis Ng. But wait a minute, Cold Steel with Cynthia Rothrock? Now there's a movie I've never heard about. The only thing he starred in with Cindy by this stage was the hugely entertaining and very underrated City Cops, which was released in the UK, of course, as Beyond the Law. In Germany it was released as Fight to Win and elsewhere as Free Fighter, but not as Cold Steel. Below that, Hong Kong stuntman Mark Keane leads a demonstration of movie fighting and stunt work. Of course, Mark Keane worked on many big Hong Kong hits such as Drunken Master 2, Once Upon a Time in China, Operation Condor, Robotrix, and many more. Anyway, I'm sure it was a fun day and both of them left their mark. Of course, overleaf, we have a packed 2-page spread on Mark Houghton, using a similar pun that I just did there on this title, making his mark. Impact meets Great Britain's one and only martial arts movie star. Mention the name Mark Houghton to your average action movie buff or video shop punter in this country, and they'll almost certainly never have heard of him. In the Far East though, and among fans of Hong Kong chop sockies, Great Britain's sole kung fu film star is a familiar face and name. In person, Houghton is far from being your standard matinee idol. His face is broad, reminiscent from certain angles of a blonde Jack Nicholson. He has a sturdy powerlifter's physique. His torso and forehead bear the scars of battle fought both on and off the silver screen. He has never trained as an actor, but he brings to every role the sense that he has walked the walk as much as he has talked the talk. Impact tracked Mark down at the decidedly upmarket Take One nightclub in Hong Kong's Kowloon Tong and asked him how it all began. I started work as a machine fitter on the shop floor at GEC, which is a factory in Coventry, reveals the blue-eyed boy of Kung Fu cinema. Even then, I wanted something more out of life than working 9 to 5, but I didn't really have a direction or a goal. Then along came Bruce Lee, and I knew that, whatever it took, I wanted to become a martial artist. I started training at some local clubs until a Chinese friend said to me, "If you really want to learn Kung Fu, you should go and stay with a family I know in Malaysia and train properly over there." So I took him up on his offer. I packed my bag and went. My family thought I was crazy, but if I hadn't made that decision, I'd probably still be on the shop floor at GEC. Once he had settled with his adopted Chinese parents in Malaysia, Mark found that finding a martial arts school that fulfilled his expectations was not as easy as he had anticipated. Then, one night, I went to see a kung fu movie called Mad Monkey Kung Fu, which was directed by and which starred a man named Lu Chi-lang. I told my friend that's what I want to do. As a result, Houghton found his master, an instructor of the same Hung Gar Kung Fu style practiced by Lu Chi-lang, a man who is, besides being an accomplished martial artist, one of the most talented and respected Hong Kong filmmakers. Several years ago, Warner Brothers brought out a whole series of his Shaw Brothers produced movies on video, including Legendary Weapons of Kung Fu and Shaolin Challenges Ninja. After 5 years of hard training, Mark returned to Great Britain and opened his own Kung Fu school in scenic central Birmingham. After a year or so, Wanderlust struck again. I'd heard that foreigners were in demand to play bad guys in Hong Kong movies, he remembers, and I thought, why not me? Before you could whistle the Hong Kong Phooey theme tune, Houghton was up, up and away, seeking a new destiny as a kung fu star in the East. Like many a young man who heads off to Tinseltown, Mark found that Hollywood East was as much of a challenge as the American equivalent. After fruitless visits to the Golden Harvest and Shaw Brothers Studios, Houghton appeared in a couple of low-budget chop sockies and contemplated returning to England. As fate would have it, his salvation came in the form of the same man who had first introduced him to Kung Fu. Lu Chi Lang, also known as the Pops, was casting his latest film. Mark auditioned for him, and the rest is history. This movie was called Aces Go Places 5, The Terracotta Hit, remembers Houghton. It's part of a series of action comedies produced by a company called Cinema City. In Hong Kong, this series is as famous as the James Bond films are in the West, and so, when I played such a strong role, everyone in Hong Kong saw me and it jump-started my career here. The first 4 Aces places have been released in this country under the title Mad Mission. At present though, this 5th film is not scheduled for distribution here. The first film where I really made my mark, says Mark, was Final Run. It was produced by a Chinese actor-director named Philip Ko, who's a real talented filmmaker and also a great fan of traditional Chinese Kung Fu. Now, contrary to what most people believe, traditional martial arts are in decline at the moment. Most of the stuntmen don't know real Kung Fu, they just know kickboxing and gymnastics. When he found a foreigner who could do Kung Fu, he flipped out and he gave me a great fight scene in Final Run. In the film, a tale of cops and drug lords set in Thailand, Mark plays the bodyguard of the main villain Simon Yam, who appeared in the VPD release Blood Fight. I remember going to see the film in Hong Kong, recalls Houghton. Near the start of the film, I get kicked into a pond by one of the heroes, so the audience think, oh, he can't fight. Then, a little later, I give the same guy a really tough fight using my Kung Fu. You could really hear the audience murmuring to themselves, wow, a Westerner who knows Chinese Kung Fu. As I sat there in the dark cinema hearing this, I thought I might have the chance to make a career for myself in Hong Kong movies. Mark went on to work with some of the brightest stars of the Chinese action movie world. He played one of the principal villains opposite Kung Fu Queen Cynthia Rothrock in the film City Cops, soon to be released on video here by VPD under the title Cold Steel. Well, there we go, we get our answer there. Cold Steel was City Cops. City Cops then became Beyond the Law, and so on. Good to know. Cindy's a lot of fun to work with, says Houghton. She has this squeaky clean, all-American girl image on the screen, but on the set, she's one of the guys. She swears like a trooper, and she has a great line and dirty jokes. She's also a terrific martial artist. Originally, Mark was given a much smaller role in City Cops, and Japanese powerlifting champ turned actress Michiko Nishiwaki was supposed to have a one-on-one duel with La Rothrock at the end of the movie. At that time, Michiko didn't know much Kung Fu, remembers Mark, so they gave me a good fighting part where we both take on Cindy. Since then, Michiko's learned a lot more fighting technique, but at the time, I was glad to have the opportunity to work with Cynthia so much. Mark also took on cult movie favourite Sammo Hung in a film entitled Skinny Tiger Fatty Dragon. Sammo, for those not in the know, is the guy Bruce Lee fights at the very start of Enter the Dragon. He went on to co-star with Jackie Chan in a string of hit films and is a superstar actor-director in his own right. In this film, Sammo's character fights just like Bruce Lee, reveals Houghton, which is really funny as Sammo is so fat. He's a great martial artist nonetheless, and I really enjoyed working with him. We staged a fight that recreated Bruce Lee's duels with Bob Baker and Chuck Norris in Fist of Fury and Way of the Dragon. What I like about the scene is that it's just me and Sammo duking it out, and it's a nice, self-contained fight with a beginning, middle and end. Houghton's brushes with 2 more martial arts movie heroes have not been so rewarding. He worked briefly as Jeffrey Lewis's stuntman on Double Impact when it was filmed in Hong Kong. I only did a couple of days' work, Mark reveals. I had a dispute with the stunt arranger over my salary, so I walked off the picture. Mark's encounter with Jackie Chan's production company proved no more fruitful. They actually had a contract with my name on it, says Houghton, remembering how he almost worked with Chan on Operation Condor. Again, we couldn't come to terms over money. The deal that the foreign actors were being offered was vastly inferior to the one being given by the Chinese crew. A lot of the would-be kung fu heroes reading that will find it hard to believe that someone turned down the chance to work with Van Damme or Jackie Chan over mere money. Listen, I've paid my dues. I'm a professional actor, martial arts fighter, stuntman. All I ask is that producers treat me fairly. I would love to work with Van Damme or Jackie Chan in the future, but only if the film company involved offers me a fair deal. By refusing to make Operation Condor, Mark was free to film Skinny Tiger, Fatty Dragon with his best single fight scene to date, and a film called Fire Phoenix, a low-budget actioneer in which Houghton steals the show in his extensive kung fu fight scenes. At present, Mark Houghton is a hot property, making up to 3 movies at a time. He has undoubtedly made his name in the Far Eastern film scene. He played a good guy, which is a rare thing for Western actors in Chinese movies, in Ken Fei's Fury in Red. He was hired as an actor stunt arranger by a Malaysian production company, which saw him, an Englishman, showing the Chinese how to do kung fu for the movies. More recently, he has been developing potential crossover projects, martial arts action films, to be co-financed by Chinese and European backers. I don't see myself being the next great martial arts movie star, he states, looking the interviewer straight in the eye. I'm not a Van Damme or a Steven Seagal or a Jackie Chan. I'm a lot more realistic about this industry than most of the Western martial artists who make movies. I realise I'll probably never be a star, but then I remember a quote from Premiere magazine about the actor James Woods. It ran to the effect that he would never be a star, but he had burned some holes in otherwise dull corners of the screen while he was trying. That's me. I'll never be Tom Cruise, but by the time I'm finished, you'll know I was there. Believe me. As this bright burning tiger of the martial arts movie world strode off to meet a midnight appointment on a movie set, I did believe him. And who says he'll never be a star? Brilliant piece, and what a guy. And if you do want to learn more about him, check out his bio doc, I Am the White Tiger, which came as an extra feature on the Eureka Video Blu-ray release of the awesome Skinny Tiger Fatty Dragon. Very, very interesting stuff. Next up, we have a 2-page spread on the brilliant Universal Soldier. Actually, a film I haven't seen in a long time. I do have it on Blu-ray somewhere. And just look how young and handsome these 2 stars are. My God. A farmhouse, night, pouring rain. 2 well-muscled men battle with bare hands. Reminds me of a date I had once. It seems an uneven contest as one of the pair is a head taller than the other, and the smaller man's blows seem to have no effect on his huge opponent. Cut! Echoes out from somewhere in the background. At this order, Jean-Claude Van Damme, the super subtle shooting star from Belgium, and Dolph Lundgren, the 2-meter-tall Swedish actor-athlete, immediately release each other and await fresh instructions from director Roland Emmerich. The rain, which has been pouring down on the 2 action stars from the meter-long cantilever of a tractor, stops abruptly. Once more, the awesome blows of these 2 crack karate are discussed before the rain begins again and their awful brawl continues. It's a fight that only one of the pair will survive, with the other meeting a ghastly death, minced into pulp by a chaff cutter. Although tonight's shooting runs smoothly and according to schedule, those responsible for the filming of this surrealistic scene from a nightmare are keen to emphasize that Universal Soldier is more than a simple action sci-fi spectacular. Although fight sequences, explosions, stunts and breakneck truck chases distinguish the production, Soldier also contains calmer, tranquil passages with classic American road movie overtones. The storyline of the film has more to offer in terms of content than most of the offerings of the martial arts movie genre, the kind of films that Lundgren and Van Damme are more accustomed to making. Besides physical fitness, dramatic performances are also required of the Universal stars. Of course, the article goes on to talk about how the film features an array of muscle men and that it was filmed mostly on sets exclusively made for the production. It was filmed over 56 shooting days, although did require 5 weeks of night shooting, where 2 of those required the use of artificial rain. With a budget of $22 million, it states that Universal Soldier might just be the high point of both stars' careers. I mean, I totally enjoyed it when it first came out and all those years ago, but I really must get back to it again soon. Such a great film. Page 22 and 23 gives us the video scene where we are born to be wild, apparently. This month they cover The Marlboro Man featuring Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson, Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen and Michael Biehn, and Christopher Walken's McBain. 3 interesting choices, and I think out of all of them, I've only seen Navy SEALs, which was good fun from what I can remember. Moving on though. Next up, we have a double page spread and in full colour of the obligatory MAI Videotech advertisement where you could take your pick of hundreds of video titles to have delivered right to your door. You know, just looking at it now, it's actually interesting to see such a varied price on them, from $5.99 to $10.99. It's just a pity we don't have those choices with Blu-rays today. They always seem to be set at the same cost or even higher. Following that, we have the Impact Letters page where clearly there wasn't enough sent in, so they needed to slap in this big ad for battle orders along with it. Anyway, usually I don't read out the full letters, but Paul from Essex, who clearly had never left his street, has caught my interest. Impact Triumphant, apart from Eastern Promise. Dear Mr. Logan, I started buying Impact with the second issue after it caught my attention on the shelf in the local corner shop, and I feel I must congratulate you on a most triumphant, to coin a phrase, magazine. I was particularly impressed by the critical analysis of the Rambo films and Arnold Schwarzenegger's career. Thus, when I bought the 3rd issue, I expected features of much of the same quality, and I got it. Your Lethal Weapon and Battlin' Babes features were both entertaining and informative. However, I feel I must ask why you have devoted an entire double-page spread per magazine to Hong Kong. I would think that the majority of film goers and video viewers, just going by the charts, prefer to see American, or dare I say it, British films. However, this is just my opinion, and I'm sure you have your reasons. You asked for suggestions as to what to include in your magazine. Well, how about features on the Indiana Jones and Back to the Future series, like your Rambo and Lethal Weapon articles? Just a thought. Paul M. Britter, Braintree, Essex. What an arsehole. I mean, 2 pages of Hong Kong movie news is too much apparently. Dickhead. But I also love how Bay takes credit for making Van Damme a star. Or so he has written it. Wait to hear this. Paul, I knew it was only a matter of time before someone wrote in to complain about the space we afford Hong Kong movies. In trying to make Impact different from all the other film magazines out there, we try to focus on movies and movie stars that clearly have a huge audience but seldom get anything in the way of intelligent coverage in the mainstream press. Our coverage of Van Damme is an example. Until recently, he had never appeared on the cover of a British magazine of which I wasn't the editor, with the sole exception being MAI. Naturally, our efforts have paid off, and Van Damme is now seen as the hottest action star around. Similarly, we feel that the Far Eastern fight flicks have a huge audience. However, if enough people write in to complain about the space afforded the Hong Kong films, then we will cut it down. Cut it down. From 2 pages, he wants to cut it down. Incidentally, if you could name a British action film worth writing about, besides Hardware or Dust Devil, I wish you'd let me know. At least Hong Kong is still, for now, a British colony. Bay. Haha! Half the mag should have been dedicated to Hong Kong movies, for God's sake. They were a hell of a bit more exciting than the Hollywood shite that was coming out around then. Anyway, A. Fears from Bristol asks if Michael Biehn can get some more write-ups, while Joanne from Essex wants to see him for Steven Seagal, complaining that Impact never does anything on him. Well, she just had to wait until the issue of May 1994 for that Steven Seagal special. And finally, Paul from Lymington pretty much wants more coverage on Stallone. No one's ever happy, eh? Next to that, the fan club addresses for Chuck Norris, Van Damme, Linda Hamilton, Eastern Heroes, Chow Yun-fat and Bruce Lee, where they also state that they give the wrong information in last month's issue. Fun times. Moving on. Over the page, and Paul from Essex was no doubt pissed off when he came across this one on the next page from his letter, China Beat, and what a stunner it is, featuring a full poster for Choi Hark's Dragon Gate Inn, which initially did have Michelle Yeoh, or Can as it says here, cast to star, although it doesn't actually get much of a write-up on the other side, to be honest here. On the other page, we see a picture of Donnie Yen and Gary Choi in Tiger Cage 2, and below that, David Wu and Cynthia Khan from In the Line of Duty 5 Middleman. The first piece of Far Eastern movie news this month comes from the home front. Ever since we started the China Beat column in Impact, we've been bombarded by letters and phone calls from folks saying, "These films sound great, where can we get them?" Until now, if you wanted to see Hong Kong action flicks, you either had to venture into darkest Chinatown, or else throw yourself at the mercy of several dubious organisations specialising in pirated tapes of Far Eastern fare. That's ironic because you keep advertising them. Now we're happy to announce that TVB, a major Hong Kong distribution house, has chosen a UK franchise holder whose sole mission is to market their films to the Western audience. The lucky guy is none other than our own Rocking Rick Baker. Rick's Film Extremes now has access to a back catalogue of some 50 films with more to come. Starting next month, we will be focusing on some of the best of the bunch and telling you how to order these tapes, which will be clear, subtitled first generation copies, complete with professional packaging. Until then, well done Rick. Remember our Bruce Lee TV series scoop last issue? We can now reveal that this series is a definite go. It will be filmed in Cantonese with veteran actor-director Lu Chi Lang at the helm, choreographing the action and playing Lee's father. Who has the inevitable task of taking on the role of the little dragon? One David Wu, last seen opposite Donnie Yen in VPD's release of Tiger Cage. Tiger Cage saw David, who is not a martial artist, fighting on screen for the first time. Apparently, he has gone into intensive training for his latest part. Speaking of Donnie Yen, he reports that filming on Wong Fei-hung Once Upon a Time in China 2 is going well, and that he and star Jet Li and director Choi Hark are getting along famously. Choi is already talking of casting Yen in another period kung fu flick, Iron Monkey, which will be about the father of martial arts legend Wong Fei-hung. Donnie's longtime collaborator Yuen Wu-ping is slated to direct. Meanwhile, Yen's latest TVB TV series, in which he plays a Scarface-style gangster, is airing on video in the UK before getting a TV screening in Hong Kong. That madcap maestro of martial arts and merriment, Frankie Chan, is back on track with his latest release, Fun and Fury. Chan, who helmed the superb Yukari Oshima vehicle Outlaw Brothers, spent a year or so helping Jackie Chan direct Operation Condor, yet received little or no credit for it. Now he's united with hot Hong Kong singing heartthrob Leon Lai for one of his usual kung fu caper comedies. Things you never really wanted to know department. Apparently D&B Films head Dixon Poon went to the same public school as our own Bay Logan, though in different years naturally. Bet they have a lot to talk about at their reunion dinners. Oh my god. Former actress Feng Shu, star of swordplay dramas including director Keen Ho's Touch of Zen, is now a successful and controversial producer in her native Taiwan. Her Five Girls in a Rope was widely acclaimed, and her latest project, a movie about two former Peking opera stars, begins shooting soon. The remake of Dragon Gate Inn is set to proceed with Michelle Khan starring and the director of the original, Keen Ho, listed as a consultant to this version. Of course, Michelle Yeoh did not go on to star in Choi Hark's Dragon Gate Inn. Seems that our man Donnie Yen will not be featured after all. And of course, Donnie Yen did go on to star in it. Meanwhile, Keen Ho is noticeably absent from the credits of Swordsman 2 starring Jet Li. He and co-director Choi Hark fell out during production of the first Swordsman movie, which starred Sam Hui. Choi produces the new film with his Chinese ghost story director Ching Soo-dong taking the helm. So yes, very interesting, but not a full article as such on any particular film, and hardly too much coverage on Hong Kong films, Paul. Dry your eyes. Naturally, that does extend ever so slightly in the years to come. And bringing the magazine to a close, we have the Impact competition page, a page which could absolutely have been used for more Hong Kong news. Anyway, here you can win a video or t-shirt of Denzel's Ricochet. And opposite again, the Coming Soon page. Casting the first stone, Mick Jagger gets no satisfaction from Emilio Estevez in Free Jack. Watch with Mother, Stallone in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Brandon Lee, the son of the dragon, lights up a showdown in Little Tokyo. by the sword, Eric Roberts and F. Murray Abraham in a swashbuckling tale of modern-day duelists. Chuck Norris, the last American hero, turns lean and mean for the hitman. Basic Instinct, hardly an action movie, Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone burn up the screen in this controversial thriller. American Shaolin, it's Kung Fu revisited in our exclusive preview of this forthcoming martial arts masterwork in the world's latest and greatest action movie magazine, Impact. And finally, on the back page, we have a huge ad for Jackie Chan's Armour of God 2 Operation Condor, the biggest martial arts epic ever made, where you can pick it up from MAI Videotech for the special price of just £67.50. What? Away and fuck. Oh my god. What a horrendous price. I'm sure they sold hundreds at that low price. Jesus. Oh, anyway, I'm George Clark and this has been another bonus episode of Deep Impact. Thank you so much for watching and for your continued support. It really is greatly appreciated. Until next time though, enjoy your Kung Fu and I'll see you soon.
So thank you once again for watching another video here on Invincible Asia. Don't forget you can check out hundreds of others here on the channel. You can also show your continued support by heading over to my new merch store or by checking out invincibleasia.com where you can read my full movie reviews and follow me on Instagram at Invincible Asia. Until next time though, enjoy your Kung Fu and I will see you soon.